Alright. First things first.
First things first.
Aliens and Earthlings. This is Kutzky the Space Pimp and Tony the Tall Boy.
Greetings and hello.
We are back for another episode of Smugglers Cove. As usual, we're still kicking this dead horse. 255 philosophical questions.
It's a dead horse, but it's full of maggots and they're all fun.
We are scientists on a quest to cure the human brain.
I don't think we're not curing it. At this point, I think we're really just tearing down Kristen's shit. Krista Brown.
We may be demonstrating the lesser facets of a human brain. No, we're not. Can you cure a brain with maggots from a horse?
I mean, if death is a cure,
you can cure a brain with maggots from a horse. You heard it here first.
Horse maggots now on the market.
Paying all that money for them fancy euthanasia drugs. Maggots from a horse. So, the next chapter in this list of philosophical questions is philosophical questions about human rights. So, we will do our best to stay PC.
Well,
I don't know.
I just don't want to lose any jobs.
We'll do our best to keep our rights to employment.
Yeah, that's basically what I want out of this.
That's what we can do. Okay. Number 84. She's coming out swinging here. You'd have guessed it. What are human rights?
Well,
rights for humans?
Like, inalienable human rights. I mean...
Is she asking us to list which ones we feel should be rights?
Well, that's the... I get that this is kind of, again, like, loaded, but, like, what are human rights? Like, inalienable human rights, like, rights given to you just by being born, right?
Yeah.
Such as freedom, I guess. Like, you shouldn't be owned by people. I think that's a pretty common one. Like, you shouldn't be owned.
Fair.
You know, but it's okay to pay your workers a barely livable wage and make them work too many hours. That's definitely not, a subset of slavery. But anyway.
You can rob them as long as you give them some pennies to rob.
If you grin fuck people enough, you can make them slaves, I think.
If you grin fuck? Like you be kind to somebody too much?
Yeah, well, no, like grin fuck is like basically being two-faced. You know, like, oh, we care about our workers, that's why our employee day doesn't feature raises, it's pizza parties.
Grin fuck, okay, I've never heard that term.
I got that one from Devil Driver.
The fuck's Devil Driver?
It's a melodic death metal band. It's actually pretty dope, I think you might like it.
Band, yeah.
There's one song called Swinging the Dead, and it is about as fucking hardcore as that sound, that title makes it.
Alright. I like that. I thought it was maybe from a show. Well, they have a song called Grin Fucker?
They're grin fucked, yeah.
Grin fucked?
I think. It's been a while. I have their CDs, but anyway.
They from Europe? They're from here? Your Devil Driver sounds American, but...
Devil Driver is... it's, apparently it's like a bell used in Italian mysticism to drive away spirits, if I remember correctly.
I didn't know the Italians had mysticism.
I could be entirely... It could be, Italian Catholicism for all I know. I don't know what flavor of Christianity, if any, exists in Italy.
Yeah.
Oh, right. The Vatican Church is in Italy. It's probably a good indication.
Yeah.
It's probably a good indication that
I was just thinking, Rome. Where's Rome?
For fuck's sake.
Goddamn Rome.
You can tell it's 3:30 in the morning.
Rome was fucked, man. We went For one, it smells like piss. Like, it just smelled like piss everywhere. And my sister went a few years after me, and I asked her, like, yo, did it smell like piss? And she's like, yeah, it smells like piss. I don't know, like, is the sewage system as old as the roads are? Like, I don't know why, but it does.
Well, the Romans did build aqueducts, which, I mean, at the time were feats of engineering, but
yeah,
when you quadruple the population,
fair.
I don't know if they're using the same aqueducts.
But their roads are still there, and they're still using those. Yeah. You can walk on the old-ass roads. They're all, like, little weird square, like, blackish bricks.
Cobblestone?
I guess, but it's not like cobblestone what I would think. But I guess what I think is cobblestone is like rounder rocks with a bunch of mortar kind of leveling things. It smells like piss. All the pizza I had there was bad. I probably didn't go to the right spots, but all of it was... I was like, this is the motherland. Why can't I get just sauce, pepperoni, and cheese? And then I realized North America has improved the pizza beyond probably their comprehension. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't have any Domino's there that I saw, so how much can you be the motherland of pizza without a Domino's?
I take notes, Italy.
Yeah, you ever hear of stuffed crust? Idiot.
Your tradition is garbage. I want stuffed crust. If I don't get chicken Alfredo, I'm going to blow up a city.
I also want 6 of these for $8.99 each. You assholes.
I don't want to pay in euros.
What else about Rome? So we went... One cool thing about Rome is you go to... so we went to the Vatican the first morning that we were...
I just love how keep going.
So we go to the Vatican, and they told us, get there hella early, right? Because of the lineups. So we get there, and the lineups are already, the people are... it's going to be 2.5 hours. So I looked at my friend, I'm like, dude, how much do you really want to see the Vatican? For 2.5 hours wait? No. At this age, I might wait. At that age, I was 19, 20? Fuck no. So he's like, dude, I don't want to fucking see this. I was like, okay, cool. Smoke and leave? He's like, yeah, smoke and leave. So we went to all the famous spots in Rome, just had smoke and left, which was fine. But what you learn is that, the Vatican is in walking distance to the Colosseum. The Colosseum is walking distance towards Trevi Fountain. Basically all the famous spots that Rome's known for are within walking distance of each other. Mind you, it might be 15 minutes, 20 tops. But then you think about it and you're like, well, of course, this was built before cars. All the, monumental shit was...
Well, cities were much more compact, right?
Is that just because they didn't have cars?
Well, you think about it, a city wasn't, a bunch of different, building projects, not like our city, where, okay, we're going to make downtown. Well, now we're going to expand over here and make another grocery store. They didn't have grocery stores, right? So you have to kind of clump things. I'm sure...
Partly because they didn't have cars, right? The means to travel great distance wasn't
but also
factored in.
You'd have, construction contracts would be, I'm sure, well, really, I don't know, but I'm assuming that big projects would be, commissioned by the city, and they'd want it, because, without cars, you wouldn't ride chariots through the street, you weren't a period of time where there were carriages, right?
Well, yeah, because if they built the Colosseum, a 2-hour walk from the fucking Vatican...
Yeah, you'd want all your peasants to be able to get there.
Nobody would go, yeah. How are all the slaves that you're going to make fight each other get there? So they can't walk far. I don't think. I'm assuming they're malnourished.
Well, actually, no, that's the interesting thing about gladiators, is that gladiators, we grew up thinking that they were slaves, but a lot of them, you could fight for your freedom, and there were people that actually, sponsored gladiators. It wasn't as bloody a sport as we imagine.
Okay.
Because you'd spend a bunch of money training this guy for months or weeks or whatever, right? You don't want to be now go die. Right, so yes, death happened in the Colosseum. It did. Okay. I'm not saying that it was foam swords and tickle fights.
Yeah.
But you gladiators weren't just out there slaughtering each other wholesale, because you have this guy that's super popular and he's bringing in cash, and the guy who's paid to sponsor him, he's not going to be oh well, Nope.
So
put the spear through his heart.
More akin to MMA than ish.
It was dangerous as fuck. But yeah, basically. It was,
I was
hard.
thinking it was like medieval bum fights. It was just
I mean, I'm again, I haven't studied it extensively, but from what I've heard and seen is gladiators, it wasn't just this lambs to the slaughter kind of thing, right? Like it wasn't the same idea that a lot of us have.
Goliath is now going to fight Scrappy Two-Bit Opium Junkie Johnson.
Just fighting for
John
bottles
Sano,
of wine.
Sorry, yeah. Alright. So, human rights are to not be in a bum fight if you don't want to be in a bum fight.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably, I'm ashamed, but, I can only really think of freedom.
Yeah. I think that's kind of all we fucking have. I mean, they say other things, like we should have rights to clean drinking water.
Yeah.
If you have a house, you do. If you're on the streets, I guess there's shelters you can go to and get a sip.
But that's just in, our country.
Yeah.
Right? Human rights is, clean drinking water should be a human right.
Fair.
Freedom should be a human right. Healthcare, I think, a lot of people argue that it should be a human right. I'm not against it. At the same time, if you should have a right to healthcare and not have to wait 8 hours to get checked by a doctor, or 8 hours is pretty conservative for how much you'll wait. You could literally die in the waiting room.
Verbatim.
Yeah.
It happened here first. I mean, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first. But it happens here too much.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good thing. Because obviously with health care, I feel like, though it is good too, we also have a responsibility to take care of our health. We have the responsibility to not need health care maybe as regularly.
I say as we chain smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, well, that's why we do the yoga and we walk bare feet in the snow. It's just
it offsets it.
I don't know if you ever heard of mitigation, but
I've shocked all the carcinogens out of my body by way of my feet. Mm-hmm. Road salt hurts.
And whatever was left, Tony and I went for a walk for some fresh air, and he was, I guess, rather easily convinced to go barefoot with me. So we walked through the snow, and then we went across the street, and I'd not experienced this part before, but there was a bunch of road salt, and so as soon as we got across the street, our feet just started burning, and we made it to the other end of the road.
Yeah, we went a block in length, not circumference.
Circular. And then there's, you want to tell them a story about that guy?
The beautiful man. So we're walking down the snow. I've got my pants hiked up like Huckleberry Finn. And this guy, without missing a beat, morning boys, how you doing? Good morning, sir, you beautiful soul.
Face him. And if it did, he just...
Did you notice the cab that pulled onto the street and then backed up?
Yeah.
I in my heart, I assumed he saw two dudes walking barefoot in the snow and decided not today.
No part of this.
It was 6:30 in the morning.
Fuck that
I'm
fare.
Not dealing with this.
I'll make $7.50 another way.
Yeah, really. I can go down the next street. This is not worth it.
So, if you want the cure for smoking, bare feet, road salt.
A nice gentleman.
There you are. Yeah, and a kind soul to make you feel that you're not abnormal.
Salt of the earth he is, no pun intended.
What are human rights? They are a really good idea and should be fucking more obtainable or just more readily available to all of us. Mm-hmm. That's where we'll leave that one. Go on here to number 85. Is autonomy a human right? I mean,
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
And this is the.
Are you even sure it should be?
So this is how I look at it. Is because we're such social creatures, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the right to act however you want.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you don't measure that in, rein that in, you will be ostracized. Because like say you're with your friend and you go to a bar or any place where there are rowdy individuals and someone starts beating up your friend and you don't hop in.
Yeah.
You're no longer friends. Like you are going to be looked down upon, and I think rightly so. You know, like back.
I'm respecting his right to autonomy. As his teeth slide
Everyone's
across the
autonomy
floor.
is being respected here. So like autonomy, because I mean, then it's like, well, you know, like just for the sake of argument, like autonomy. I want the right to beat this person. Maybe I'm not understanding the definition of autonomy correctly, but like it seems to me that autonomy is a nice idea, and like, you know,
but there's other avenues where we completely do, whether it's good for us or not. We all have the autonomy up here. We can think whatever goddamn thing we please, if we so choose to please.
Yeah.
You have the autonomy in what you put into your body,
well, except for, you know, the chemicals in the water and the chemicals in the air and the pesticides in the earth and the pesticides on our food. And
yeah, I guess that meant more so like choosing fucking to eat 20 Big Macs in a week over
cucumber slices and too much hot sauce.
Exactly. Do you have the autonomy to make said decisions? Your decisions do have, I think, a lot more autonomy than people think. The autonomy, unless they mean in the sense of like, should we all have like our own singular cabin that is like a minimum of 500 kilometers away from each and every other cabin? Like, I don't think that's any good to anybody. So there's a facet of autonomy that would give us no benefits as humans, even if it was our right.
But a nation of hermits.
Yeah, we also have the right to go be a fucking hermit. It may take you making some decisions or doing jobs or doing whatever to get it to where you wish, but...
So, I think where I land is like, yes, autonomy is a human right, but you have to weigh it, and because like, if you really don't care about being ostracized, if you really don't care about, like, truly do not care about the consequences of, like, perpetual pure autonomy, then you do have that right. But it is going to come with consequences, right? Like you're going to reap what you sow there. So you have to really be discerning in your actions and your speech.
Yeah. Well, and just the fact that you're here with a bunch of other humans, like, it's best to care about them, or some of them at least, because...
Well, you need to make those connections, right? As we've previously established, like, we are such a social, connected network of creatures that...
Like, a mom just churns out a baby and then just neglects it because it has the right to autonomy.
So that reminds me of sloths. So, like...
Did they do that?
So basically, so what happens is a sloth...
Lazy fuckers.
No, literally, so like a sloth will have a baby, and if the baby falls out of the tree, the sloth 9 times out of 10 will just say, "Sorry, baby," and just fucking hang in the tree and let the sloth baby get eaten. Because sloths need to
God's sakes.
They need to retain their energy so they can crawl to the forest floor to shit, and that takes up so much energy they will give up their children for it.
One of my best friends' favorite animal is a sloth, and those attributes aren't falling as far from its tree as he or I would like them to.
It's not falling very far, kind of like a sloth baby.
Alright, so you can have it if you want, but it's not as conducive. Number 86. Is liberty a human right?
I think we already said freedom, and that freedom should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liberty basically is... It's given to us all to the degree, I think, in which is reasonable for us to have it. Like, we can really have as much freedom if we really want. Or go off into the woods.
At least in our country. Or basic, like, our basic civilization, like Western civilization, you really do have liberty. Obviously, we're privileged because we're not born in, like, China or North Korea. Or
I was just going to say,
whatever.
none of these questions apply to North Korea. Right?
Yeah, no, this is... I think that Krista is very idealistic. and she kind of forgets that there are other countries other than America, is my guess.
Yeah. Because sometimes I think of us as like, we do have so much more than a lot of other places. And it's like, we're almost the fucking, like, guinea pig for the rest of the world sometimes. It's like, alright.
Probably the reason why we're on the other side of the ocean. Kind of
You want to know what luxury will do to a man? Tune into Smugglers Cove or fucking any fucking shit that we churn out here, It does yield the possibility for greatness, and also yields the possibility to fucking eat yourself into an early death. Like
true debauchery.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, just going the way of just
it goes
uncombated self-indulgence.
Double-edged sword, my friends.
Yep. That's
Always
what liberty is.
Their rights.
Because if you have if you are free, you're free to make bad decisions as well, and you're free to continue making those bad decisions.
Yeah.
Like, I keep thinking,
So North Korea kind of has it figured out then?
Whoa, sure. Well, like, I was thinking the other day, like, maybe I would have benefited if my parents sent me off to a military school when I was younger, And I'm not saying that I wish I'd gone, but I don't think that I would have come out terrible if I had been sent off to somewhere.
Yeah.
Truth be told, I always looked at those shows where, like, people are at boarding schools and they're in dorms and everything, and I love bunk beds. Like, I love the idea of bunk beds. Now, I'm a private sleeper. I don't, like...
Top or bottom? Top.
Always. I want to be able to climb.
Okay.
And I want the bunk beds close enough that I can pretend I'm hopping from one pirate ship to the other. That was always my dream. So if I'm, ever in possession of a lot of money when I build my tower, there will be a room of bunk beds. They will be pirate themed, and I will have, like, probably, if I have that much money, I'll just get a cutlass, actually, and just hop from bunk bed to bunk bed and pay a maid to fix all the blankets.
That's what a cutlass is?
Yeah, well, a cutlass is like the curved kind of sword. It's got the handguard. Yeah, it's not... Yeah.
I automatically went to Cutlass Supreme, so you're getting a sword.
Cutlass Supreme?
It's a car. It's like one of the quintessential, like, pimp cars.
Oh, I know nothing about cars or pimps.
Well, it's a cool-looking car. It kind of looks like a Caddy, but it was a little bit cheaper than a Caddy, so it was more accessible to said pimps. And yeah, Cutlass Supreme.
Easily bought with cash.
Easily bought with cash, yeah. And probably easily stolen when you don't have the cash. But you got the will. Let's go on to number 87 here. Is free speech a human right? Unfortunately. Unfortunately.
Well, it should be. I mean, again, very privileged that we have free speech. Obviously the things, even what we said about, a certain government leader that probably would benefit from a lobotomy, we're free to say that. There's some things that we can't say.
It's always free the first time.
Well, and I mean, like, free speech should be a human right. I think, like, obviously, again, the same with freedom is you have to be careful what you do with it, and there, of course, are consequences to your actions. So you need to be willing to accept those consequences, and that's why it is important to think about what you say before you say it, something that I have yet to master, obviously. But, like, you gotta keep trying. Otherwise, like, if you give up, you're kind of... You got to be willing to speak your mind. It
does. It allows us the freedom to, express what we feel, but also express what we feel even if it's stupid, and we can kind of learn from our flaws and mistakes in that sense,
Well, exactly, and that's like, you need to be willing to make the mistake in order to see what you did wrong, in order to grow and to learn, right? Like, kind of like, as I keep saying with the podcast, obviously there are bad ideas like small talk at the beginnings of episodes that just, but we tried it. It was, I don't think it was a bad idea on my part, just not well thought through.
We gave it a shot.
We gave it a shot.
freedom to use our speech to make said mistake.
Freedom to sit awkwardly on a couch while you smoke a cigarette.
There it is. So, free speech is a human right. It's a human right everywhere at least once, and it's a human right here as much as you please. So,
well, as I wouldn't say, I'd say there's still restrictions on it, in essence. But like, there's still some things you can't say.
Restrictions are kind of like birthed out of us somewhat collectively, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a reason we don't use some words and just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Alright, number 88 is my favorite number.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then somebody was telling me it had something to do with Hitler. I was like, well...
Really? Oh, yeah.
HH.
I can't remember...
Well, it's because H is the 8th letter in the alphabet.
Oh,
so
is it really that simple?
Hitler, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Alright, well...
Yeah. One of the worst Nobel Peace Prize winners we've ever seen.
Yeah, they really did us a disservice by giving him that 21st Nobel Peace Prize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they should have seen it coming. I think it was rigged.
Probably.
Yeah, it's like, you give me this or else I've got a shower with your name on it. Something to that effect.
something like you don't want.
You know how these contests and these trophy awards
they're
go.
Pretty rigged.
They're always somebody's got their hand in the mix. Alright, 88 though, nonetheless. What is the difference between a human right and a privilege?
Rights shouldn't be able to be taken away. Privileges can be.
I'm down with that.
Actually, this reminds me of, and I think this is when I began learning how to say the right thing, even if I didn't necessarily mean it. Which, well, it's come back to bite me, I'll say that, but it's worked out quite a bit. I remember watching an episode of The Proud Family, if you ever watched that on Disney Channel.
I was thinking that was a Cleveland show, so...
No, it was a show about an African-American family.
Okay.
And she did something and got something taken away from her, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But then she went to her mom and was like, I understand that it was a privilege, not a right, and I took advantage of it or something.
Before or after she took all the doorknobs off the...
I think it was after, definitely after.
Okay.
But I mean, like, the legs on her carrying those doorknobs around all day. But yeah, so like she says that to her mom, and it all worked out. So of course my brain, I was like, whoa, like magic ticket or golden ticket. So I asked my mom if I could. This is when I had a pretty early curfew, but I saw that they were playing like the Jedi Returns.
Yeah.
Star Wars movie, and I was like, oh, Mom, can I watch it? It's on TV.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I guess so. And so, like, I stayed up to watch it, but then I saw that Godzilla was on after. Yeah. I'd never seen Godzilla, and, and it was, like, one of the old ones, right? So I wanted to see the guy in the rubber suit.
Yeah.
And, like, it was innocent. You know, I wasn't out to spite my mom. I was like, Godzilla! And then, so, like, she took away TV privileges or something. And and then I watched that episode of the show.
Oh, because you stayed up and
because I stayed up and you know, I didn't honor the contract written in blood.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like then I went and I said that this basically the same phrase to my mom, and she was really, I think, like taken aback by my maturity. In essence, I was just being a manipulative little shit. And it worked out. And
ironically, you learned that from TV too.
I learned it from TV, and I mean, like, I really wish
TV saved my TV.
I wish I'd just taken the message to heart and actually learned it, and not just parroted it like a two-faced little fuck. Like,
I mean,
but
all is fair in love and war, and being a child against a parent.
I just wanted to watch Godzilla, like, and I understand where Mom's coming from, but like, what kid doesn't want to watch a guy jump around in a rubber suit?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
I think we're both right in the situation. I think both of our stances were understandable, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got your TV back afterwards.
I did. Yeah.
And you got to see Godzilla.
No. She caught me before Godzilla even got on screen.
Oh, I thought she punished you because she found out that you stayed up even later to watch Godzilla.
No, because I was watching TV in my parents' room.
Okay.
So like then she came up and it was Godzilla. It was a black and white movie instead of Star Wars, and well, she wasn't happy. So like that's how the cookie crumbled.
I see. Well, it is a privilege to watch Godzilla. It is a human right to watch the Jedi.
I think it should be everyone's human right to watch Star Wars.
Okay. And it is a privilege if you get to see Godzilla afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Number 89. Is it the responsibility of privileged individuals or the government to bridge gaps between privileged and disadvantaged people? I'm gonna put this one on the fucking government. I mean, the government is at least like a collective of many to, typically or originally to help the collective of many.
I think that absolutely the government should be doing that because, for one thing, we're paying politicians way too much, and I understand that it is an important job to help lead the country. At the same time, when you pay people a lot of money and you're also giving them extraordinary power, perhaps you need to rein that in a little bit so that honest people might, not just go in and become extremely corrupt. I think that I'd say it's a responsibility of the government. You get paid way too much. I find it detestable. I remember years back when we had bad snow and the city was like, oh, we have no money for salt trucks. They voted and gave themselves a raise the same year.
There it is.
And that's I'm not an anarchist. At the same time, holy fuck, can you when I was teaching English to my Russians online, they talk about how Russia's corrupt. Now, obviously, the level of corruption between Russia and Canada is very different. But I would tell we live in a corrupt country, and I'd be like, well, I do too. The difference is the government just makes it legal. All the corruption is just up front, and it's well, we make the rules. You can't do anything about it.
I suppose, yeah. Until the government exists solely to serve the people, it's not really anything other than a sham.
Well, that's the thing it's overquoted, but 1984 really fucking...
We could read this question and apply it to us, because, I automatically thought, Jeff Bezos and the government. But technically you and I are privileged people compared to disadvantaged people. Is it on us? Do we do our part?
I carry a portable... Oh, wait, never mind. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. My portable ashtray saves me.
Advantaged people are not dying because your cigarette butts are on the ground.
But, I think you're definitely a better person if you yourself, as the average citizen, is helping out. But I think if you're looking at large scale change, you shouldn't look at the people who are working 40 to 80 hours a week and barely scraping by and be like, why are you helping the poor?
Yeah.
When then you have people who have several cars, a mansion, maybe a chauffeur. If you have a maid, chances are you probably should be donating money somewhere. And
he is.
But when
to the maid.
But when it comes to individuals, say Jeff Bezos, say Elon Musk, I don't think it's their responsibility. They worked for their money. They got their money. Does it make them kind of shitty for not? Yes, I do believe so. Is it their responsibility? It isn't. I think the government should be taking care of the people, not expecting people who have succeeded.
Bezos to step in.
Mind you, I don't. That's not that I'm a fan of his. I think he's a piece of shit. But
he did give us Amazon, and Tesla gives us inventions. I feel like they couldn't accrue the wealth that they've accrued if the government had set some standards. Because I do agree that if you work hard and you contribute things that are, innovative and worth more than other things, then you should make more. But it's just give it a cap after a while. Can you spend $1 billion in a year?
Well, I think Jeff Bezos, what he should be doing is reinvesting his money into his workforce, right? Because you hear about the conditions in Amazon warehouses, and they're absolutely fucking abysmal. Like, people peeing in bottles and being overworked, like, because then it's like the disadvantaged people are right there. Jeff Bezos, invest in your workforce and don't just try to accrue more wealth for you, because at the end of the day, if he's making, say, $3 more million a month, right? Yeah. Does he really need $3 more million a month? Or if he established, if he took care of his workers better, they would most likely, like, when you unless you have real pieces of shit in your workforce, if you take care of your workers, they will do a good job, because there has to be a vetting process, obviously, and some bad apples are going to get in there. But if you treat your workers with respect and you show them, don't, like, this is a privilege kind of thing. Yeah. Then if they know, some people will have no conscience, but I think a vast majority of people who are just good people trying to get through their day are going to be like, no, I'm being treated fairly. I feel valued. Then they're going to work harder, and they're going to give you a much better product for your money. And if nobody has to pee in a bottle in their workday, then probably you're off to a good start.
Yes, so it is kind of the rights of the highly privileged, we'll word it like that, to take care of they're not disadvantaged in this particular scenario, but take care of their own.
I would say disadvantaged. If you are scraping by and the only job you can get at is Amazon, and you're being treated so abysmally that you're basically in a first world sweatshop, you are. I was thinking disadvantaged meant you had no legs. Like, that's where I was going. No. It was actually a disadvantage. Well, I mean, but when it comes to things like housing, clean water, financial aid for families that are truly struggling, that really should fall on the government. Like, we shouldn't look to our billionaires to be like, no, you made that, but it belongs to us. Instead, we should look at the government, who we pay, and be like, how about some of the money we give you take care of us? Because that's what your taxes should be doing, right? In my opinion.
Providing systems that support
if I'm paying money every year out of, like, stuff that I literally sweat and bleed for, and then it's not benefiting me other than, like, oh, you're not going to jail. Like, well, then I could just not go to jail in the woods.
Yeah, true. I wonder if any, like, fucked up shit happens in Denmark. Like, I feel like I don't really hear of a mass shooting happening in Denmark.
Actually, I borrowed, I still have it. I'm a terribly slow reader. I borrowed a book from a coworker about Hygge, and it's like the Danish way of life. And basically, it's like, in Scandinavia, they're like the happiest people in the world, because basically, like, they have a good work-life balance, and they have a, you don't hear about mass shootings and shit in Scandinavia because they pay a lot more income tax, but it also, actually, the government seemed to be like, no, the money that you pay actually goes to benefit you. Yeah. Mind you, I haven't done any extensive studies on Scandinavia, so I couldn't tell you all the ins and outs and whatnot.
No, but I feel like, at least if there was mass shootings on the reg there, like, the news loves talking about mass shootings. We don't hear about mass shootings in Denmark, and is it partly because people are not that fucking discontent with the system they face?
I think honestly, Scandinavia has a lot of good things going for it, and if I wasn't so intimidated by the language, I would consider moving there.
Got a buddy who lives there now. He's fucking full English.
Really?
Yeah, he's working IT. He's learning Finnish now. Well, he started in Denmark on a school co-op program. And then, he did, I'm super proud of him. He fucking crushed it. So, they had work practicums, and then he was just researching the options, and it said that you could do it in a school overseas. So, he asked his professor.
Yeah, why would you not?
Well, it's just, people typically don't, they're homebodies or whatever. Like, I'm not really trying to justify it, but I'm saying, it's kind of as simple as that. And so, his professor was like, yeah, you can. Like, nobody ever asks, but sure, if you can figure it out. So I figured it out, went over there, they met a girl, and then she was there studying law. She was from Finland, and so yeah, his work practicum finished up. He came back, finished his schooling, went back, and then now he's moved to Finland with her. So.
Well, good on him.
Yeah, cool as hell. Shout out Cody, love you. So yeah, when we all become more Scandinavian, that's
something we can look forward to.
Yeah.
Our taxes actually doing things to benefit us.
Number 90. If people are spreading misinformation, should they still be allowed to continue?
I have a feeling we know what side of Twitter Krista Stewart is on. Krista Brown.
Mm-hmm. Because I would say she's on the side that spreads misinformation. I'm teasing, but some of these people are...
I'm kind of teasing.
Okay. Anyways, there's a glitch in the system there. Back on track. If people are spreading misinformation, should they still be allowed to continue? A lot of these things, I feel like they just kind of solve themselves, you know? Like, you can say crazy shit for as long as you like. Mm-hmm. And it's only going to attract as much as it, you know, there'll be the wow factor, and then it's like, well, it's not actually true, and then, you know, you'll have your select maybe mini cult following if you're super lucky, but...
So, I think this, to me, always comes back to kind of what I said about Dave Chappelle. Mm-hmm. How, you know, it's not Dave Chappelle comedy skit that radicalizes people, right?
Yeah.
Now, with misinformation, it's a bit more complicated because you do have those echo chambers. At the same time, people fall into those echo chambers,
yeah,
not necessarily by accident, right? Typically, if you're going into those situations, you are looking to confirm a bias.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
So misinformation, I think, if you really want to get down to it and you want to combat it, mm-hmm. the best thing to do is to allow people to put it out there, and then you can be able to, and I don't mean this in like a vigilante justice,
yeah.
but like you're able to identify them and be like, okay, so like then you can take their points, and then you can illustrate how fucking wrong they are, right? Because at the end of the day, nothing like if you throw things in the dark, they mm-hmm. will like then you make it harder to find people, right? Then you can't combat it as readily because then you have all this like, you know, it's behind the scenes, behind the Iron Curtain kind of thing. You can't identify it as readily, and mm-hmm. therefore it makes it harder to combat it. If you let it all out in the open and you can be like, no, this is dumb and this is why.
Yeah.
Right? Then so while I'm not a proponent of spreading misinformation, nor am I a proponent of disinformation, but I think that if you just start banning people, that sets a very dangerous precedent of, I don't like what you're saying, therefore it is misinformation. We definitely haven't seen that at all ever. Where anyone has just said, I don't like what you're saying, so you can't talk anymore. That certainly hasn't happened ever.
Anywhere.
No. Not on any popular social media sites at all.
Yeah. God bless them for being so inclusive and, you know, really embracing the whole free speech of the people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just can't imagine if they censored people.
Yeah, no, it would be terrible. You know, crazy. I'm so glad we live in a world where everyone can speak freely and absolutely no one is unnecessarily censored.
Yeah. God bless Twitter.
I actually love seeing the dumpster fire that is because Twitter I never wanted to prosper anyway. I thought it was dumb from day one, and then it was a garbage fire, and now Elon Musk is taking it over. And like, I don't have any feelings towards Elon Musk one way or the other. I don't necessarily want him to fail, but at the same time, if he's truly driving Twitter into the fucking ground, like, I want that bird to fall like a baby sloth. Like, I want that to die. Like, go away, Twitter.
Yeah. Did you have an account?
I have an account. I don't post anything. I scroll through and lurk. Okay. I don't like, same reason I got rid of Facebook, I don't like that you can track people's activities so readily. Like, so if you go to someone's Twitter page, you can see what they like. So then I'm like scrolling through like, well, if I ever have this connected to my own personal, like
Yeah.
I like a myriad of subjects, and I don't need everyone knowing what those are.
Touche. I had a Twitter account for, I don't know, maybe a month, and I used it to try and hit on celebrities. It didn't work, and I've just never been on since. I
seen a bag of doorknobs before.
I wish it was that. It was more like I was trying to hit on Lord. I don't know if you know who Lord is. Singer.
No.
She's pretty cute. So I responded to one of her tweets and left what I thought was this clever rebuttal, and she never replied.
Some women are just cold-hearted, and you gotta move on.
Love you, Lord. I always have. Yeah, so Twitter doesn't work for getting your celebrity crush to ask you on a date.
Nope.
But it's there to spread misinformation, at least. And you are occasionally allowed to continue. Be it that it fits the right political agenda.
Yeah. Wait, political agenda on Twitter?
No.
No, never.
No.
No one ever edits clips at
Who
all.
talks about politics?
On Twitter?
That's for the stuffy old men. Speaking about stuffy old men, speaking on stuff, number 91, should abortion be legal? I don't give a fuck.
I'm personally, I don't like the concept of abortion. At the same time, I think that it should be legal. Mind you, I do not think that it should be celebrated the way that it is. I think that abortion is a very serious decision that should be weighed very carefully.
Yeah.
And while I do believe that we should be conscious of the consequences of our actions, we all know what sex is for. That being said, bad decisions happen, mistakes happen, and because we are in such a society of it's not like when if you were in the Middle Ages and you had a kid, you were like, fucking dope, maybe this one won't die and then I'll have a hand on the farm. Whereas these days, it's good, I am now financially ruined and I cannot go to school.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm also not, I'm against late term abortions. I think those are cruel, but if you can get them in a certain period where if you're pulling things apart instead of just flushing the tooth, basically, if you've got to reach in there and unclog the drain manually, I think that's a bit of an overreach. But I think that it should be available, but definitely not celebrated.
I think, generally, this is what I would say. I would say put a cap on it, no more than 10. And then also...
No more than 10 per person?
I'm being, reasonable. Okay, I don't know the stats, because this is what I'm thinking in my head. What are the stats on repeat abortionists? I feel 2 seems to be pretty much you've learned it by then.
I think if you have 2 abortions, at that point, you should, I don't like the idea of government controlling reproduction. At the same time, if you're going in for repeat abortions, if you're not paying for them, if it's a government-sponsored thing, then all you're doing at that point is showing that you cannot be trusted with your own body and you are wasting tax dollars.
Yeah, so, because I think 10's, fair. I don't want 10 to ever be hit, but, I feel 4 would be a sort of reasonable cap, but I'm going to say 10 just to be safe. But because I know women who have had abortions, and it's for them at the time, I support that decision. It wasn't from my own loins that caused said abortions, but hearing their stories, and it was I'm glad that you had that service available to you. Typically it's homeboy who did fucking jut the nut was never going to be there.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that that was able to be avoided. And it's I'm not really, I can't even do any sort of form of shaming the
And I don't think we should be shaming. I don't think that, like condemning people. And I've talked to my brother about this. Is like,
yeah, because your brother's had like 6 or 7 abortions.
I think their uteruses are scraped out like a dirty jack-o'-lantern.
That thing doesn't even shoot.
No, like the candle don't shine no more. It just falls to the bottom.
So naturally, you can only get so many.
I mean, at some point, just the legs get out of a horse.
Okay, yeah. And then they're wheelchair bound, of course, for the rest of the...
Like the worm from SpongeBob.
Precisely. Right.
But,
more than half a dozen abortions will turn you into the worm from SpongeBob.
But like, more seriously, though, is like, having a kid is such a, like, it's such a thing nowadays, especially with the economy. While I am staunchly morally opposed. At the same time, I don't want to perpetuate this is what you need to do with your life. And chances are, I think the idea of like, well, it's going to kill women because they're going to go get the abortions anyway. Well, like, I don't think that. I think it's more an idea of like, the people, like, you don't want a child to be raised in resentment, and if it really ruins the life, there's a sense of you need to make the best of your decisions. At the same time, sometimes it's better to do the wrong thing for the right reason.
Yeah.
And I'm not, like, again, I'm not trying to condemn, what I was saying with my brother when we got, but, so, like, I was telling him about, like, like, with the abortion debate, you have people, like, on the pro-abortion side that are like, shout your abortion, and then you have people on the pro-life side that are saying, like, abortion is murder.
Yeah.
Neither of those points help anyone.
Yeah.
Like, no one is convinced by shout your abortion. Like centrists aren't going to be like, that's a great idea. But they're not going to turn around and be like, abortion is murder! And then be, like, it doesn't help any side of the debate to be so vitriolic. Like, I think that it really needs to come together with, we need systems in place to help pregnant women not only carry their pregnancy to term, but also help them with the development of their child afterwards, right?
Yeah.
But for a woman to, if she chooses to take the step and abort the pregnancy, then we shouldn't be like, you're a murderer and a horrible mother.
Because I don't think nobody wants to have an abortion.
I haven't heard anyone wanting to have an abortion, but I have heard what really, and this hurts my soul when I hear it.
Yeah.
Just the lackadaisical, oh yeah, I had an abortion. Really? And I mean, like, again, it's not my, it's not, in a sense, it's not my place, but I think about, like, that's still a human soul that was being brought into the world and then was snuffed out. And I think, at the end of the day, the abortion issue and birthing itself, I think that's more like the top of the whitehead, and it's a societal problem that goes deeper, that forms, like, because you can't just fix the abortion issue. You need to look at what is causing what's pushing this infection to the surface, right? Like, what's causing us to have this problem?
That's I know that it's complex, right? And we just like almost like overcomplicated it to like hide under the, like, it's very complicated, and thus, I know of situations where it was like, it kind of like what I said with the douchebag bro dude. It's like that situation was the girl, she's just like a girl, and she's learning the ins and outs of men and relationships, and so like there's a bit of rite of pat, like that didn't happen in a fucking like shit way. Now there are ways, I'm sure, that happen in shit ways, Betty fucking whose name don't care, like, get down there. She maybe is not who I'd want to be eligible for multiple abortions, but she's not in the game to learn, or at least learn quick. So yeah, those situations, obviously, but then I guess I have to hide under the cloak of complication, is we can't splice that. We can't dictate. You can't like go in through, get a screening process and be like, all right, before the baby, like, what was the number of drinks you had
per week? Shit? Are you shit? What?
Like, check here if you were shit.
Okay, so we're just gonna do this and then tie your tubes. Which again, like, you know, it's a joke, but like something that I say to myself, or at least used to,
is 12th time this decade, Betty.
For me to kind of like wrap my head around it is I just say, like, typically the women that are getting abortions are probably not the women I want to be having children anyway.
See, I've had the opposite. The two that I know I think would make wonderful mothers, and they probably will when they do eventually have kids. It's just the timing was not opportune.
Well, I what I mean is, when I say that, is just to help me kind of, because
I think we're both in the same line. We're saying, like, Betty What's-Her-Crotch, like, she is not who we want to be the one taking advantage of the system. And I don't think anybody wants Betty What's-Her-Crotch to be in there, like, repeatedly, because Betty What's-Her-Crotch needs to have some more tact with, you know, not putting herself in the same situation repeatedly.
Yeah.
That's not going to be solved by making abortion illegal.
No.
That's, like you're saying,
all that's going to do is lead
upbringing.
to neglected children.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to finish my thought on, like, why I say that phrase earlier is because it really kind of helps me deal with the hurt in my heart, not because I have anything to do with the kids or the women's lives, but it truly does sadden me to hear that so many souls will not get their chance, you know?
Well, this is where you need to study more of spiritual stuff, because souls that are to come to Earth, they come to Earth. Like, if it is not in the vessel that they had selected, it will be in the one that they get next. Like, I do think that...
So you're saying that, like, it's maybe it wasn't their time to come to Earth.
Yeah, and...
Well, that is a comforting thought, thank you.
Yeah, but... Because there's this other... I'm gonna, like, get spiritual here for a second and say, there is this thought... I've like compiled this over a number of different religions, so I can't just attach us to one and tell you go look it up, but we all live kind of every version of a life possible, right? So when we see like a homeless person on the street, we've all been homeless before. I shouldn't say we all have been. If souls live many lives, then it's like souls that you meet, they have lived however many lives they have lived. Obvious statement, I know. But what I'm saying with this is some souls have lived more lives than others. Like, it's just naturally how it would fall. So I would say after you've lived maybe because I have to speculate here, right? I don't have the concrete facts, and this is a little tricky to get the facts on. It'll be further in our human history or future that we learn to do this, but you may want to experience the soul's journey of a baby who's aborted to have that sort of, it could develop a respect for life. So you kind of have to, you know, these are all like they're loose in a sense, but if you think of a baby that got aborted, all right, and you're saying that soul was there, it was it was guaranteed to go and live a life, and then it got its privileges revoked. So what would that teach you? You know, that would teach you presumably a respect for life, like to cherish life when you get it, and to know that it can be taken away, and a sense of appreciation. These are kind of how it would be taught spiritually, I guess, is just like everything can have a purpose. So when you look at it and be like, all right, that purpose, that lesson that soul learned in being aborted, it's like, this is going to sound fucked, but it's like, I don't want to take that lesson away from that soul. And so this isn't a huger concept. You have to really unearth yourself from Earth to speculate why souls would benefit from a lesson like that. But in stretching your mind in these places, you can see things a little less dark, I guess. So there's just that kind of tidbit of like, maybe we all have been aborted babies at one point. I don't.
Well, we certainly, I would say, we've definitely been dead children.
We've definitely been.
Like there's, but you know, and I just kind of like, while I don't know if I'm on board with the reincarnation train.
Yeah.
You saying that makes me think back to how, well, I need to keep reminding myself that I do believe that things happen for a reason, right? So while I'm not a fan of abortion, things are taking their course as they should be, right?
Yeah.
I think that things are happening as they should, while some things are tragic and some things are unfortunate. And while we might not see it as the right decision or the necessary decision, things happen as they should happen, and therefore, you know, it's all the cogs of existence and eternity.
Yeah. Well, basically that.
I think we navigated that as well as we could.
Yeah, really. It's you know, eventually this will not really be a thing that we have on the table as a debate. I think like in 200 years from now, it'll just exist as such a, almost like a distant thought. Like it could be that we get to a point where everything is so well structured socioeconomically, or like all the humans have all the
I'd imagine that in that time frame, at that point, the children would probably be put in some kind of like efficient care. You know what I mean? But that comes to like, some women just don't want to carry the pregnancy, so I don't know. All we can do, I guess, is hope for the best.
Yeah, well, I think it would be taught to like respect your body and respect your, because I think the only issue with this is the people who are not respecting their bodies and then just putting it through as like a quick fix to a deeper understanding that they need to come to within themselves about themselves. So there it is, number 92. At what point in human development, from a fetus to a baby, does one become a person and gain rights? I mean, we just hit so many nails on the head.
I think basically you and I are on the same boat, that you're a soul.
Yeah.
Right? So whether it be from reincarnation or not divination, but what does the Calvinists say? I'll say divine predestination.
Yeah.
You know, like the human is a human is a human.
Yeah.
I think, to me, the whole "it's not a human yet" is such a straw man.
Yeah.
Like, just admit you don't want to carry the baby and you don't care if it's a person or not. Like, if you need to justify it to yourself that it's not a person or not, like, then okay.
Yeah.
But I think, from my perspective, and again, as you know, a lot of people will say because we're two men that our opinions don't matter, but
I'm just thinking that like they don't want to carry a baby. It's not always that, right?
Well, I'm
be that. But
I'm just being blanket terms in generalizing, but to say it's not a human yet is, I think, is a straw man argument personally.
Yeah.
So
it's not really the point of anything. It's like,
it doesn't change the matter.
Does that person feel ready to do that, or
Yeah.
Does that person not want to do that? Because that's also an option. I shouldn't have said no to that. I was just saying like that is as well as something else.
Well, and just so like, I just want to be clear too, in the cases of like where the mother will die if she carries the pregnancy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that like, I'm not saying like, no, suffer and die and carry the child screaming into the world and pass it after. Everyone has to live the life of Fallout 3. Your mom dies at childbirth. This is your burden. Deal with it. Find your dad and bring clean water to the wasteland. You know, like, I'm not saying that. Like, if your life is in jeopardy, and I'm sure that, like, no one I think especially if that's on the table, I don't think many people are like, no, kill this thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just...
yeah, there's right reasons and wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And we've
doesn't make it an easy decision, but...
Yeah. So this is kind of irrelevant in the sense of, like, if you're using this as your argument to deter abortion, like...
I think we know what side of the argument Krista's on.
Yeah. Yeah, she thinks it should be legal. We
should find her Twitter. Not right now.
Just let it be. Let it exist and, you know, hope that people use it wisely.
Yeah, well, with all things, right?
I know, it's like it's that simple. Like, just
that's the thing is just because you can doesn't mean you should. Like, not everything that is available is right to do or right to do in that time.
Yeah.
Right. So just, you know, be responsible and make the decision that you believe is right for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just yeah. Be wise. Wisdom is a tool.
A helpful tool, even.
Helpful one, I might add. Number 93. Is war ever necessary or even reasonable?
I think, for one thing, war is inevitable. And if it is I would say that, yeah, it would be. Because, right, think about right now, Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like, it's necessary for them to fight off the Russians. If they don't, they will be trampled.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or even reasonable. Like, that's...
I mean, reasonable is less so. Like, it's necessary if the war is brought to you to participate in said war to protect exactly what you're saying.
But I would say that if it's necessary, then of course it's reasonable.
Yeah, but I guess I'm thinking of the start. Like, was it reasonable for Putin to fucking wage war?
No.
So it's not reasonable. But then when you're...
But
what
you're
saying
the Ukrainian side,
it is
absolutely reasonable.
Yeah.
Right? So is war reasonable?
Not to begin, but to finish. It is to end it.
Well, I think, and again, like, it comes down to inevitability, but also like it's the thing. You look at empires and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Was it necessary? No. But if you like, say you're a nation and you get hit by famine.
Yeah.
And like the kingdom over has a lot of food.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying that you should go in there and pillage, but like if you have nothing to trade, right?
Yeah.
Or like maybe you have a lot of forests.
Yeah.
It's like, we would cut down this lumber and trade it to you, but we are literally dying.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, I don't know how you go to war then, but okay, I'll say war is inevitable and it's at points necessary, but very seldom is it reasonable, at least on the aggressor's end.
Yeah. Okay. So I get a somewhat hypothetical. I say it's somewhat hypothetical because I don't remember the name of this planet, but somewhere in the universe, there's a planet where you just, like, you reincarnate immediately, like, as you were. So say somebody comes, shoots you point blank, you die, you respawn, much like a number of video games. So I think about this planet, and I think this planet has had so many things figured out, right? They obviously are reincarnating immediately. Mm-hmm. One of the funnest things to do would just be to go to war. Because you've got everything, you know, they don't have any worries of like, oh, am I got a job I gotta go to? Like, they're just there in paradise living. And
so basically what you're talking about is you just want to go to Valhalla.
It's kind of like Valhalla. I mean, but it's like, would there not be war in Valhalla?
No, that's like exactly war games. In Valhalla, the whole point of Valhalla is you die gloriously in combat. You go to Valhalla, you kill each other during the day, then you're brought back to life, and at night you feast and drink. And you do it all over again. Yeah, the Norse really...
I definitely been to Valhalla then.
The Norse really fucking laid down such a great religious system to enable their warfare. Like, they were basically like, to die is the dopest thing. Let's go. Because then you think about it. Then you have, like, legions of warriors. Mm-hmm. Not only not afraid to die, literally stoked. Like, they just want to do the best they fucking can. Yeah. And then just like, you know, and then they get rewarded with more war, beer, and meat. No, I think whoever invented the Norse mythology was on point. Absolutely on point. And I think it's incredible, but
that is fucking epic. I didn't know that was what Valhalla was.
Yeah. When you're slain in the field of battle, the Valkyries come and pick you up and carry you to Valhalla.
Because I've always thought when I die, I just get to go back to the planet, whichever planet I was from. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it makes this sort of fearlessness with death. Mm-hmm. I still respect my life, and maybe even, I don't know if more so, but I feel like I respect my life a little bit above average, or just by comparison sometimes to, but I don't really play these games too much. It's just if I look at some people sometimes, well, I don't do those things, and I don't do them because I'm treating this with respect. Mm-hmm. But the fucking liberation in knowing that I just go back to my own planet once I pass it's just fucking intoxicating. I don't have to care about a lot of shit, because it's no, I just...
The worst thing that happens is I respawn.
The worst thing is I go back home? You kidding me? You fucking... Yeah. There's no trouble in my life. It just alleviates it like that. So, I don't know. That came from some deep-ass reflection and reading of obviously spiritual things and different intuitions I've been brought in my meditative states. But, yeah, Valhalla just kind of reinforces my notion of yeah, man, fucking death when it comes. Mm-hmm. I will leave this world and go home gladly, but I'm also happy to be visiting here and doing what I think I can to help. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just being good and nice. And smoking ciggies, man. I don't know if my planet has ciggies, but fuck it.
I feel like it has
Hell
to.
Yeah.
Either that or you're a cosmic junkie and your soul is gravitated to the only reality with tobacco. Tobacco and purple are the only things your home planet is missing. I have Egypt mythology. I have purple and cigarettes. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, the things I will bring back home. You're never gonna believe this, guys. Cigarettes. Oh, and Viceroy will reign supreme. It'll never get discontinued. When I'm 94, I don't know when I'm gonna die, but I do know that I'm gonna be fucking old. I've had 2 experiences where people just out of the fucking blue, out of context, have just told me you are gonna live long. Mm-hmm. One of the most poignant ones was I was visiting not my grandma, but my cousin's grandma, and so she was in her 90s, I believe, and well, she was, because we went up for her 90th birthday. So we went up for her 90th birthday, and then the day after we were leaving, we were in Campbellton, so we went to leave and we went to go say a final goodbye to her. So we went over to Helen's house. Rest in peace. Love you, Helen, wherever you're at. We went over to her place, and so we're sitting there, and they're kind of chit-chatting, and I'm just doing as I do, kind of sitting there and listening, and a scent here, scent there, but never, I don't know, trying to check at me what I did. And so anyways, go through the whole conversation. I'm giving this as, I guess, just personal anecdote, but sometimes I'll almost feel I'll think about myself, get self-conscious that I don't try and contribute in the same way, but I typically feel it's best to just listen and interject when I can, when it's useful to say something, not to seek to say something so much. Maybe.
Well, there's a saying, I can't remember the philosopher, I believe he was Greek, but it's it's basically if you are not bringing anything worthwhile by breaking the silence, then don't break it. Right?
Yeah.
shut up. If you're not, and I mean, I struggle with that hard sometimes. Yeah. But, you know, it is really good advice. If you're not bringing anything worthwhile to a conversation, or even just to silence, it's best just to be silent, right? Another thing is, another saying that I like is, better to be thought a fool, to remain silent and be thought a fool, than to speak your mind and have it be known.
Well, there I was trying not to be known as a fool, and so the conversation wraps up, and then so it's time. My cousins are saying goodbye, and it's like obviously I say I let them, but it's like they go first, which I think is the fair pecking order because it is their like birthright grandmother. It's my like through my marriage to my cousins. I don't know if it's like grandma once removed.
I don't know how that... Would it be like a great aunt?
My aunt is blood relative to me. Like, she's my dad's sister.
But I think it'd be a great aunt if it's your aunt's mom.
Yeah, but it's not. It's her husband's mother, who is not blood related to me, but he's my uncle through marriage.
I don't know. So that his family trees are...
Anyways, let me get to the end of this. Sorry. Okay, so basically, I'm the last one I go up. I say, like, Helen, it's nice to go to your birthday. Like, thanks for having me. It's good to see you. And she's like, oh, dear... You'll be around a long time. And I thought she meant that, like, we weren't leaving just yet. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe we'll stick around for a bit. And she's like, no, you're going to be here for a long time. I was like, I know. I know. And I said, thank you. And just, like, good to see you, blah, blah, left. She passed, like, the following year, and it was so just not her character. Like, she wasn't, like me, sort of esoteric or like mystical type shit. Like, she just whatever caused her to say that, I don't fully understand, or like it's not like a linear like explanation. It's just like something breathed through her and shot to me, and it was perfect because I will say what I just said about me knowing that when I die I'll go home. Mm-hmm. For a few years that led me to kind of a pretty cynical, dark take on reality. Like, it's like, fuck it, it get dark. So, as you can assume, I don't need to paint it out for you guys, but if you put that together, you can figure it out. And so, to have her say this to me, I was kind of coming to the light at this point of like, my life's not that bad. Like, I can, I can figure it out. Like, these parts might suck to me now, but when she said that to me, it just was like a further confirmation of like, also respect your body while you're here. Like, yeah, you get to go back to your fucking planet and bring them Viceroy cigarettes and everybody's going to be so happy, but you're here right now with some sort of due cause. So respect that and respect the fucking thing that you're in, and just treat it as such. And so like, thank you for that privilege, I guess, in a way. And I do think it's also a privilege we all have. We are here for different reasons and yada yada, and you might not think exactly like I think, or might not understand the things I understand, but your body that you have is still to be respected and treated.
Well, and your soul too, right? And I think that you nourish your soul by taking care of your body. I think that comes with it, because if you are respecting your earthly vessel, right, then that obviously means that you care about yourself enough to...
Yeah, because you can go about it from either end.
I know that
notice people who start caring more for what you would say your soul by filling it with these more like esoteric notions, understanding, astrology or past lives or something, and through their understanding of that, it then sort of clicks into them like, oh, this vessel I have is also a gift, like it's an extension of me, and then they start taking care of it. Because you're saying go at it from the other end.
I'm not saying go at it from any end. I'm saying that
if you say like, as you start to take care of your body, then it nourishes your soul, and then your soul kind of opens up.
Maybe I did say that.
So it can go both ways. You're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying
either way, if you start taking... I feel like, kind of like, how we were talking about phrases. You have one phrase, and then like that'll help you, and then you build on phrases.
Yeah.
I think maybe I misspoke I think no matter which way you look at it, if you start to take care of yourself one way, as long as you are taking care of yourself in a true and whole,some manner and legitimate manner, I think that will lead you to look after yourself in a different kind of, it'll evolve. That being said, I think that there are people who juice their carrots and go on their runs, and they still are dead as doornails up in the head meat as far as souls are concerned, because some people, I think, are just really...
Because that comes back to...
tunnel vision, maybe? Single-minded? I don't know.
Well, it comes back to our talk about souls earlier, where I was like, we've all gone through some form of iteration of somebody else's life. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you think of a soul as like only 3 years old, but that person grows to be like 40 or 50, and we're like, this person's dumb as a doorknob. It's like, that person's soul is only 3 years old. Like, they're a fucking toddler permanently through life. Like, it's impressive that this 40-year-old can even feed himself right now. Mm-hmm. Like, it's taken in that context lightens the, I don't know, stress of seeing people where it's like, fuck, man, that guy's an idiot. Because when I see somebody who's like a fucking moron, I'm like, I was young too once. Like, it's like you're stuck on 6 for the remainder of your life. And like, there's not really anything you can do about it. I can't go to you and preach you all my fucking know-how of these things that are like, because they're beyond your grasp, Like, I'm not going to say what I just said to you if you were 6, right? Mm-hmm. I'm saying it to you because I feel that you're receptive, and also that, you're 31?
30. Well, I'll be 31 this year, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not fucking 6. It's just kind of like the context of... Yeah. That's why you can speak to people in the ways that you can and not to others, is typically a vast difference in soul age.
That being said, I hate hearing the phrase, "Oh, they're an old soul."
Well, yeah, but that's what humans do.
They just ruin everything.
That's what young souls do. They call fucking old souls because they're just...
Especially when you hear, for me, it really burned my biscuits when I heard, really sycophantic, weak men typically saying it to either women or men that they quote-unquote respected, or rather just really wanted validation from.
Yeah.
That just... Hearing people say old soul is just one of those things. It's kind of like, I don't want to say the word that I hate because I don't want to give my enemies that much power over me, but there's a word I hate that it's old soul is a phrase that just fucking makes me angry.
Mm-hmm. Well, anything good can be taken and perverted by somebody who's perverted. Mm-hmm. I suppose it doesn't make it any less good. It's just annoying when they say it because the merit is not there.
Well, when it's, especially if you just hear it is in that vapid, disingenuous compliment, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying too. Yeah. It's just like, you empty-handed fuck. Regurgitating bullshit, trying to get a piece of tail.
Yeah. Heaven forbid you do some push-ups and buy some real pants.
Alright. Number 94. How can societies work to dismantle systemic racism, ableism, sexism, and other forms of discrimination?
I hate this question.
We know where she sits. She's fucking far left.
And I'm not saying that... Sorry. I'm not saying that these are not issues. But I'm so fucking tired of, this is just... Why couldn't you just say, how can societies work to dismantle systematic discrimination?
How can societies work to be more left-minded?
Well,
it's like you be aware of it and you just don't fucking do it if you know that you're about to do it. Like, the people who do this stuff, they don't often know that they're doing it, if you are aware that you're doing it, you either are a piece of shit or you're doing it in jest. So it's like, I'd say it's getting to a point where it's more done in jest than it is done as like a cruel, vindictive thing. Because we've become aware of it societally. Of like, yeah, we don't have slaves. We don't do what we did to the. We don't do what we did to the people that we did, you know. And like, also, I hate it when it's put on us. You know, like, if anybody in my family did it, it was like my great-great-grandfathers or some shit. And it's like, I would never consider doing that. I'm not on the chopping block for being a racist. It's my fucking... And I can't even say idiot because I think it's like time and place. In that time, it was normal. However fucked up it was normal. But we only think it's fucked up now because we understand that it's fucked up. If they understood that it was as fucked up as it was back then, they wouldn't be doing it at the rate that they were doing it. So it's like this whole thing of it can't exist then, and also our ideals can't have existed then. Because if they did, it wouldn't have existed, and thus we wouldn't even have ideals to try and like sling back to the past.
Well, I think there is like historical data that there were people that were not a fan of. Like, I'm just gonna. Okay, so this is. I'm just gonna say this. I hate this question because she's basically like she got really specific and still made it vague. So like you're sitting there and being like, all right, so now we have to come up with answers for 1, 2, 3, and then fucking other. Like, this is your gender application on a fucking college form, right? Like, it bothers me because she just cram-packed a bunch into it, and then because her statement is...
of it that aren't... What is ableism?
Ableism is wheelchairs, the mentally... You can't even say disabled anymore. The mentally...
Retarded?
The differently abled, I think, is the idea of it. And what I don't like is that this philosophical question is not a philosophical question.
No.
To her, it is a statement of fact. Right? Like, it's... Like, I kind of want to skip it because I don't want to give credence to her bullshit.
No, let's just say we're working on it, all right? All this awareness that's brought up of it is caused, like, the work on it that can be done to get done.
But here's... So here's what I'm saying is that we had to go through it as not a nation, but an entire human race, right? Because slavery was not just 200 years ago. It was 2,000 years ago. It was 5,000 years ago.
Yeah,
it was 10,000 years ago. It's not like we're working out the fucking kinks as we go. Whilst, and like I would say that there's evidence of systematic racism, and I'm just gonna touch on racism because I really don't want to give. So like, systematic racism, I think, is still a problem, but I do not think that it is as prevalent.
No, it's not.
Because like you still have issues with the states, obviously with the like. I think honestly, prison reform would help a lot. Not saying that black people are criminals or whatnot, or minorities or whatever. But the prison systems are basically the new plantations, right? You put the prisoners in, they get overworked, underpaid, or not paid at all. So I think for just to give an answer, like I think prison reform would be one. Obviously, we need to do some work on policing. I think that needs to be addressed.
Yeah,
but that's really all I want to say on the matter. This question offends me.
I would also like to say that I've skated at a number of handicap ramps, and I would just say it seems to me like the work's being done. Just to lighten the load. We are getting there. We're better than we were. We still have room to grow, and it takes time.
Well, as your population swells, right, you're going to have that many different people, especially because our like how many people needed glasses 3,000 years ago? You know, like obviously there are details in our genetic code that are degrading. Like, so as like we're gonna figure that out as we go, right? Because
that, but also to like sort of not like to cut that off. The awareness arises, right? this question is like under the fucking frustration that it's not fixed immediately. It's almost under the naivety that it's not fixed immediately.
Yeah.
Like, we need to become aware first, and then once we're aware and it's understood, then we start to fix it.
But it's going to be a process, right? Like,
it is, and it doesn't fucking show that this person understands that. It's like, the process is in motion. Like, yeah, systemic racism exists. It sucks. We don't want it. But it is being dismantled because we first, like, now that we are aware of the concept of systemic racism, then we can see it. We couldn't see it before because we didn't even understand that it was a concept.
It was a whole new idea to even, like, equality between races was a whole new, like, fucking concept. Right? Like,
yeah,
you have to see what you're doing wrong to be able to fix it.
So in a way, kudos to us, because that was like probably that's one of the biggest hurdles, is just to like, all right, we are all equal.
Yeah,
like, you get what I'm saying? Because then it's like more the minutia things, but that was a huge hurdle for our ancestors when they went through and finally, understood that should be what it should be and not what it was. So. We're working on it, Krista. We are. And just
your article isn't helping.
Yeah. Don't shove it down people's throats who don't fucking actually perpetuate this. And, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 95. If two people's opinions differ, how should they kill each other?
With knives.
Resolve their differences.
I want a crock filled with doorknobs. That is my weapon of choice.
Well, obviously they should listen to each other, and typically there is always a wiser answer. So whoever's smartest gets the biscuit. I don't think there's situations where your opinions differ that people often resolve. It's like you have to have you have to have the ability to truly process the other person's opinion.
Well, you have to keep that open mind, right? And understand that you could be wrong about things, and you need to be willing to weigh your beliefs instead of defending them, right? Like, put your point across, you know, express your beliefs or your opinions, but understand that, like, it's very unlikely that you have every answer in the book.
Yeah.
And while the person you're talking to definitely doesn't have every answer in the book, it doesn't mean that you can't check notes, compare notes and figure out where one person, mind you, sometimes it's one-sided, like, just for a straw man, like lizard people enthusiasts, like, they need to learn from you. But, like, typically if you're having a conversation with a decent, intelligent individual, or at least a well-meaning individual, they have points that maybe you didn't consider. So instead of, like, put your hackles down. And don't let take a deep breath and try and slow your thought process and hear what they're saying, not what you think they're saying. Right?
Nail on the head. I would say
tact is another one. Be careful with the words you use.
Compromise each other's opinions and form one mega opinion that you both share.
Like Voltron.
Yeah, Voltron your opinions, right? You're probably got some right points, they probably got some right points. Lizard people aside, obviously, but you both could have something of value and just recognize the value in each other and fucking grow. So, choose to grow, choose to respect the person offering their opinion, that's human too, and Voltron.
Yeah.
Alright, number 96. Has technology made it easier or harder to advance human rights?
Easier.
I was going to say she's on the human rights train, but this is clearly the section about human rights trains. Easier.
Like, it's the
internet.
It's the internet. Like, and while, of course, like, again, I think what she's getting at is, like, misinformation kind of thing, and hateful opinions is my guess. Again, at some point we need to take a look and see if we can find her on Twitter.
Yeah.
That'll be our celebrity crush that we try to lure into our loins.
We made podcasts for you, Krista.
We're your biggest fans. We only pretend to disrespect you. But yeah, technology makes it easier.
In the how to pick up chicks fucking gun.
Oh,
it's called negging.
I just can't wait
Yeah.
to give you all my Altoids. But like, yeah, obviously easier because then you have that connection between, you know, like people that are actually fighting for good.
Yeah.
You know, like, and while, yeah, the people for bad have the same...
Well, when injustice is found, it can be, like, displayed instantly. Mm-hmm. Aside from North Korea. You guys are not attending the party yet, but...
Yeah, could you imagine? If we get a viewer from North Korea, I will shave my eyebrows. I know that's impossible because they have their own internet, but I would be fucking stoked.
We're gonna get a comment, Tony. They fucking... You think those kids don't know how to hack? And... Your eyebrows.
I've done it before. I can do it again. I'm really just looking for an excuse to shave my eyebrows.
There we go. North Korea, hit us up. DM us. Yeah, easier.
Yeah.
Number 97. Is it the responsibility of wealthy countries to support impoverished countries? It's kind of their responsibility to give us the blueprint of how they've... No. I'm fucking thinking of Denmark too. Can anybody just be Denmark?
Can Denmark just give us all their notes?
Yeah. Just talk to Justin. He needs a good talking to, Denmark, and just give him the ideas. Don't even just find out who runs Justin and talk to that person. I'm, functioning under the ludicrous notion that that person is benevolent, but if it is a benevolent person pulling Justin's puppet strings, give him your blueprint, Denmark. And
I feel like the person pulling... No, never. I'm not gonna say. But I don't want to be that guy. But anyway.
Yeah. Also, all prime ministers eat at Harvey's. Fun fact for you all. Yeah.
Build your own burger. It's the reason they go.
Do they have Harvey's in the States? I think it's just a Canadian thing.
Is it?
I think. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, because it's associated with Swiss Chalet, and Swiss Chalet is only in Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No. You heard it here first. Don't mind myself. Yeah, and if we weren't fucking clear on which side of the fence she stood on, number 98, should women's rights be...
We didn't answer 97.
Yeah, we said Denmark. Send fucking Justin's puppeteer your fucking notes.
Okay, but I think... So, I really... I'm in favor of helping impoverished countries.
Yeah.
At the same time, I do think that countries should be looking at themselves.
Yeah.
Because, I think a good example is, if the States is sending a bunch of money to Africa, right, to help them get clean drinking water,
yeah,
is it not a little hypocritical that they still have, poisoned water, water sheds, in impoverished, communities in America? Maybe fix your own fucking shit. And, I'm not saying that you can't support other impoverished countries. That's not what I'm saying at all.
No.
But I think that really countries should improve themselves first. That way they'll be stronger and better off. And then we'll be better equipped to send more aid to impoverished countries.
Straight up. It's the spiritual blueprint. Fix yourself first and then
go to Denmark, learn. They should have a conference.
Yeah. Just be like you to Denmark, you of Denmark, and we all go to Denmark and experience Denmark. That's what they should do. They should just send like people in waves. They're just here you go get to live in Denmark for a week, right? And then then there's immediate reform or more immediate.
They come back with just really dope outfits.
Yeah, or you just don't leave Denmark.
Just don't leave. All of Canada's
Denmark just wages war, but it's not really war. It's just turn everything to Denmark. It's just you need to assimilate because
a benevolent virus.
By popular demand, Russia has been assimilated to Denmark. All right, yeah, Denmark. Denmark's the answer. 98. Should women's rights be a priority to men's? Why not? Yes. Should mean priority or equal or
what's the what are women's rights as opposed to men's rights? Are they? Because to me that just says
a lot of them,
should men care about abortion issues? That's what that says to me. Because everything else, women have the same rights as men, right?
Yeah, I get I don't know this question because sometimes they say the wage gap. The wage gap
is all. Anyway.
This is where, like, I'm gonna just show my naivety here because I honestly don't know. I'm kind of asking. I'm being honest. I'm not trying to be, like, shitty about this, but if a woman goes and applies at the Dollarama and I go and apply at the Dollarama, don't we get the same wage?
So here's the thing with the wage gap.
Yeah.
They said that women make 75 cents to the man's dollar, right?
I've heard that, yeah.
So what that means is, like, women typically women take typically lower paying jobs because, like, sick childcare, nursing, stuff like that, right? Like, you have these jobs that don't pay as well. Women are also going out on maternity leave. I wonder why.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, men are left in the workforce making more money because they're there.
So that's how they did it.
Men are, like, more likely to stay after hours and everything because they might not have the same... well, I'll say conviction, not because I think it is a responsibility to be at home, but like men work the longer hours and whatnot. I'm not saying that women don't work hard. But so basically they saw that and they said women aren't getting paid as much, and it's like, has any of you ever, like, gone up to a coworker at an entry level job and compared fucking pay stubs? Because I feel like that could be solved in like 10 seconds.
So what they did is they just did the math to, like, support their narrative.
Yeah,
they twisted because I get how the math would show that. Then, like, if I went and did the math and took all the money that all the men make in Canada and all the money that all the women make in Canada, I would foresee, without even doing the math, that the women's number would probably be lower than the man's number. Mm-hmm. But to do it, like, with integrity, you would have to show what are the numbers of men compared to women in the workforce. Like, if the number of men is 20% more than the number of women, obviously the number that I say men make is going to be 20% higher than women. And that's unfair to say that, like, women only earn 80 cents on the dollar if it's, like, their number is literally smaller than the men's. Like, the math, I guess, just wasn't done authentically, open, and with integrity. It was done to support.
It was done to prove
the narrative,
point, right? I don't remember the whole quote, but there's a quote I think by Mark Twain that like the best way to lie or something about statistics. Like, you can lie with statistics very easily because you can control the data that you bring in, right? And you can control what you say with that data. Yeah.
So basically, we're just like, it's not even a question. Yeah, like, a woman should get paid the same as a man.
Right? Like,
and then all other jobs go based, like, higher up jobs go based on seniority. Like, if you had more experience, you get paid more, and, like, that would also apply, like, should apply equally. Like, yes, I don't.
And if women aren't if women aren't getting the same raises as men, like, if they're not getting paid, like, that is obviously an injustice.
Yeah.
Like, and that should be fixed. You know, like, I don't think there's anyone who, like, no one who is actually a decent person is sitting out there being like, no, women shouldn't make as much money as me. I'm a man. You know, like, because that matters.
Yeah.
You know, like
that fucking.
I can't. There's not too many women in my life that make less money than me. So, like, maybe I'm just being bitter, but, like,
my wife makes more money than me right now. I'm not fucking complaining, I guess, but it's really not the point. It's obviously that it should be equal, and
well, obviously, anyways, right? Like, anyway.
Speaking of wife, I'm gonna pause this so I can go talk to my wife a bit before she goes to work, and we'll wrap it up. Thank you.
Caring husband right here.
Yeah.
That's this guy. He's not just good at taking doorknobs.
I love you all. We'll see you in a minute.
We know.
It's going to shock you. 2 white males agree with you. That aren't simps. Life-changing news here on Smugglers Cove.
women are people.
No. Women have rights. Did you know?
I'm just imagining like that 80s or 90s like transition where it's like a radical like TV set and it's like spins off. Or is that Batman from the 60s? I don't know.
It's got a Batman from the 60s. Sure, it could be the other one too. Oh, Diane said too that you were more right in the women's wage gap thing, because she said you were touching on it well with the jobs that women enter are typically less paying jobs.
Yeah.
She basically just agreed that the stats, what they reflect, need more interpretation than just, women earns 70 cents to every $1.
It's not the 70s anymore. Like, you have to pay workers equally. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, that's illegal. That's called discrimination laws.
Also, you could say that the stat, to say like, 75 cents on $1, it is kind of true, but it's not as evil as it may have been. It's an
average.
Like, displayed to us as, or slung to us as. Anyways, still room to grow, and we're going to get there. We all know. So, number 99, what makes a person a person? She's just hitting hard with this one.
Are we going to go soul again?
Yeah, my answer is fucking genitals.
Genitals?
I don't know.
You're on Smugglers Cove.
I just saw my way.
People have genitals.
Yeah, so I guess it's deeper than genitals.
It's deeper than genitals. Put that on a shirt.
More than just my hog.
Alright.
I have a heart too. Yeah, your soul's angle is there. I've had somebody ask me, is a soul even a thing? You know who you are. Like, well, do you want to debate, is a soul even a soul? Get the fuck out of my house. A soul, cognizance, consciousness.
The only thing is that they're doing, and now it's not like 100% proof test, but they're doing tests with like animals where they'll put like a red mark on the animal's forehead.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just the gist. But like, say you put a red mark on an elephant's forehead and you hold up a mirror.
Okay.
If the elephant touches the red mark on the mirror,
mm-hmm.
right, it sees that as another elephant. Whereas like, if it touches its own forehead, it's
mm-hmm.
like, why the fuck is there red on my forehead? And it sees itself as its own creature, right? So it can distinguish consciousness that way, I think.
I think that has something to do with Ramadan. Tony, you're confused here, right?
Just a bunch of Muslim elephants.
That elephant's given right to choose a religion he wishes and celebrate supper in any fashion he pleases. Yeah, all praise to... So he touches the red dot on his forehead, knowing that something is on his body. That
he sees it. He sees that it's a red mark on him.
Okay,
right, not a red mark on another elephant. I think they try and do it with dogs, and dogs are just like.
I see. He recognizes himself in the mirror.
In the mirror, yeah.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
That's the basic gist, I believe. If not, I think there's a Stuff You Should Know episode that deals with that, which, if you're looking for a good podcast after you listen to our episodes, go check out Stuff You Should Know. Josh and Clark are dope.
Okay. Check out Contact Pluto. Shamelessly plug myself. Because person comes from the word people, does it not? Like, person, people, are they somehow connected?
I'm not sure of the etymology of it.
All words that start with P are connected to each other, as far as I've taught myself.
The suffix is there. It's strong. Oh, prefix. Shit.
Person is a person. What makes a person a person? That they're a person. I should just Why you do this first question in back, Krista? Just soul consciousness.
Soul consciousness. But again,
awareness.
But like consciousness. That's what I mean with the red dot test. Is that if you have animals that are conscious of themselves, then they're not people, right?
Mm.
They might be intelligent, sentient beings. Even like they think dolphins are sentient, right?
Because it's interesting that the elephant knows what it looks like. I suppose it sees itself in water, I guess, so.
It would also see other elephants. Like, an elephant doesn't look at an elephant is not surrounded by its herd and go, these are all strange creatures. I don't know why they're accepting me.
Fair.
Right?
Alright. My brain bottomed out on that one. But elephant doesn't know he's an elephant, bro. He doesn't fucking look in the mirror like we look in the mirror. Yeah. Too vague, Krista, I guess. The soul consciousness,
Well, I'm sure that you could add more onto it, but, like, to me, person is a person because of their soul, you know?
Yeah. Their personality, would we say, too? I guess that's a reflection of their soul.
Yeah, but again, personalities also you see in animals, right? Like, even lower animals, I say lower, but like, you know, like ones that don't pass the red dot test or whatever.
Okay.
Like they still have personality. Like just like the dogs of the same breed, one dog is not going to be necessarily the same personality as another dog.
Yeah, and the way your dog loves you is different than the way a same breed dog might love that person. Alright, thanks, Krista. Number 100. If a person has lost consciousness and doctors know they will not regain it, but their organs are still functioning, are they still a person? I feel like I'm missing something in this definition of person thing. Like,
well, I think what she's going by is cognizance, right?
Yeah.
I'd say they're still a person. I think it'd be more interesting to debate whether that person, like, whether the soul is still in the body or not. Right? Well, because if you're brain dead, like, does that mean that your soul is maybe not permanently abandoned your body?
Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, unless, like, the soul comes back.
Well, I think we need to bring in people who are in a coma and then come out of a coma. And it's like they know that they were in a coma, like they were having dreams, or like they were cognizant of their cognizance in a coma. Mm-hmm. They were in this, realm that wasn't here. So in that case, like, it's just the only difference here is the doctors know that they will not regain it. It's like that person still is there, just like the people in a coma were still there and know that they were still there. And because you hear tales of, like, they could hear our voices, or, like, they knew we were there, they could feel our presence. So, yeah, there's still a person. Like, if they're not going to regain it, I feel this question is more like...
can we harvest their organs? That's the vibe I'm getting from this one.
Like, do we euthanize them? Do we, put them out? So, in terms of this question, yeah, there's still a person, Krista.
Yeah. We'll touch on organ harvesting another time.
Yeah, I think there's philosophical questions about Brazil somewhere here, so they'll probably come up there. 101, is the internet good, bad, or neutral?
I'd say the internet is a tool and therefore is neutral.
Really? I would say good. Absolutely good. Because of the fucking connectivity, we can all see shit instantly. Like, I would say inherently good. Like, I agree with you, a tool.
I'd say it's inherently an advancement. I say neutral because it's a tool. The internet itself is not doing anything. It's what people use the internet for, right? Like, because you can use a hammer to build a house. You can also use a hammer to attack someone.
Yeah.
The hammer is not bad. It is what you use the hammer for. Right?
Alright, so just for sake of this thought, I'm thinking, like, take away the, murdering uses of a hammer. A hammer, I wouldn't say it's neutral. I'd say it's good because it then allows you to.
So you're saying the potential determines it's whether it's good or not?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm kind of saying then. Yeah, because most tools are good because I'm trying to get a tool here that can't kill a person, but I don't know, a pool noodle? No, you can fucking.
That's not.
I know it's not a tool. I'm just trying to think of something soft and fucking. You're not able to.
The trick with tools is that they're typically very well constructed and rigid. I don't know, like maybe a soldering iron, but then even then you could use it for torture purposes.
Yep.
Like you can always bend something good to an evil will, right? Like
yes,
you can always use something good for evil.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I guess that's the nature of evil, is that it is so inherently corrupting and invasive like that.
Would you consider paint a tool?
We should write this article. that should have been in the fun philosophical questions.
I'm just trying to think of tools.
But then you could drown people with paint. Or hit them with a paint can. Home Alone showed us that.
yeah.
Lead paint, definitely. There's definitely been a lot of... well, actually, I was watching an episode of Forensic Files, and this girl, I don't know if she was hospitalized several times or what, but she went to the hospital and she was like poisoned or like I think she died. And they were like, what the fuck? Like, then they are investigating the mom. Like, did you kill your child? But it turns out she left her child out on the deck. And they'd used lead-based paint on the deck. And the kid had been eating the dried paint chips.
Jesus.
That's why supervision is important. I'm not laughing that a little girl died. But, like, it is a pretty ridiculous way to die.
That is...
like
just negligence. It's not like accidental. It's poor. Yeah, supervision is a key pillar of parenting.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going with good. I also agree with your neutral.
And I'm going with neutral, but I also agree with your good.
Right.
Like I think that, you know, again, like it's a huge advancement and a very useful tool.
Yeah.
But it's a very useful tool to all sides.
Yeah. Depends on how you use it. Number 102 is being able to financially support a family a human right, or is having a large family a privilege?
Well, those are two questions in one, Krista.
Yeah, like you should. All right, it should be a fucking human right. I mean,
to be able to support the family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and at least here it kind of is a right. You know, you can go. You have the right to work. If you get hired, I guess is not an absolute guarantee, but.
Yeah, no one's denied a job. Like, no one's denied employment simply because of who they are, like them being a person, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if you have a criminal record, you can still get a job somewhere.
Okay, yeah, so...
Mind you, like, that being said, we're speaking about fucking reform earlier. Like, I think that, you know, that's a different kettle of fish, but, like, make it easier for people to rebuild their lives. Fuck off.
Yeah, and I would also say that oftentimes when you're going to have a family, you already have a job.
You should.
You should, yes, but like generally how the scenario goes is.
But if you're looking to have a family, like if your goal is to have a family, then typically that is something that you're working towards, right? So
yeah,
you would have a job unless you are a hermit family in the woods, in which case your job is surviving and providing for your wife that probably is hating you for not getting barbiturates.
Here it is. So having a large family, is it a privilege?
I mean, I would almost say that it is, because like you should be able to support a family, but that doesn't mean that it's a right for you to pop out 12 kids. Because if you don't have the financial stability to pop out those 12 kids, then it's not really a right of yours. It is children, I think
it's a freedom.
It's a freedom, but I don't think that if you choose to have 12 kids, I don't necessarily believe that everyone should be running to your aid if you did not put in the work to establish yourself or put yourself in a position to provide for said family, right?
The forethought to understand what you're getting into.
Yeah.
You do have the responsibility to have the forethought to, try and put things in order to be able to financially support your family that you're contemplating having. So yeah, there is a bit of onus on the person. But no family should go unsupported, really.
No.
Ideally.
Well, you need to care for your citizens.
Yeah. Denmark.
Thank you, Denmark.
Pioneering the way for the rest of us schleps.
Human lives matter. This message brought to you by Denmark.
130. Do more humans have fundamental rights in the modern world, or have we lost rights as time has progressed? Fucking definitely more in the modern world. Like, we have the right not to be stoned to death. Like,
yeah, I was trying to think of I think
ones
that
we lost.
if we go, so this kind of ties into large family. Like, I think of, medieval families, and like I said earlier, with having a family, like, that is your workforce, right? And when you're not dealing, I think that taxes, we get taxed on everything, right? Yeah. Whereas, while taxes must have, I'm not saying that taxes didn't suck back in the day, but I get the feeling whenever I read about taxes that it was knock knock, pay tax, right?
Yeah.
Okay, or
and it was also paid in
pay your tax.
Fucking vegetables and cattle and shit.
Well, what I mean is you're not getting you're making your own diapers. You're not getting taxed on the diapers. You're not getting taxed when you buy meat from the market. You're not getting taxed when you shod your horse's shoes. Mm-hmm. The farrier is taxed by the government, but he's not. The government isn't taxing legitimately every transaction and then taxing his income afterwards.
Yeah.
Right? Our government was just wait. You mean you pay taxes after all you've made your money? What if you pay taxes when you spend your money? Right?
Yeah.
So I think and
yeah,
I'm saying we have more fundamental human rights now. Yes.
Yeah, because we could also.
And I just kind of went off on tangent with taxes.
Because the taxes can go to good stuff, so it's taxing all that shit is not necessarily bad as long as the tax dollars are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But I get what, because you're saying.
So you know what I'm saying? And I guess
since we're not Denmark, we shouldn't be taxed.
I was trying to go that was really just a thought experiment.
Tax me when you make me Denmark. Build me Denmark and then tax me.
I want a Denmark on every street corner. I'd say we have more fundamental human rights in the modern world. I just kind of was thinking back, and it didn't really prove my point or not. I guess my point is right now is taxes.
Blanking? Has she not observed anything in her last
You know why she's saying this.
Yeah.
We know the question.
Well, what fucking right of the past that we lost does she want to go back to?
I don't know. Maybe she's just pulling a quick one on us.
Just we got more of them. All right, we bring up countless historic events that we do not do anymore because it is not right, and they have become fundamental rights.
How many scaffolds have you been in, Krista?
I don't get that. She's been in scaffolds?
Scaffolds, they put you in the... And then people would just, throw shit at you.
Oh,
public executions aren't really a thing in the Western world anymore. You typically... We have it a lot better now.
Yeah.
Obviously, pros and cons, but I think the pros outweigh the cons when you come to modern society.
Yeah. We're on our way forward, I think, for just... period.
Can you imagine we're absolutely fucking wrong and the pinnacle of human society was medieval?
Yeah.
Damn it.
You don't know how happy people were back then.
I just want to feed my cows.
Though the quality of life was 27, it was much higher quality than us living to 90. Alright, Krista, pay attention. Number 104. If you could ensure every person on the planet would have access to a single human right, which one would you choose? Would there be any repercussions? What? I choose that you get this one benevolent human right. However, if you indulge it, you are then castrated.
So let's go freedom, and the repercussions are overindulgence.
Simple as that.
Yeah,
sure every person in the world would have access to a single human right. Which would you choose? I'm thinking knowledge. And would there be any repercussions? I guess.
Well, because knowledge is power, and power corrupts, right?
Misuse.
So misuse. Yeah.
Castration.
Don't read too many books, Johnny. Your dick will fall off.
Yeah. Don't read too many books and then not fucking behave better. Your dick will fall off. As long as you behave better, Johnny. 105. What rights should prisoners of war have?
The right to not be tortured.
Yeah.
I think nourishing food.
Mm-hmm. Because if you're a prisoner of war, I gotta clarify this for my own sake so I can think properly. You're a prisoner of war, like you get captured by the other side?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not like they found out you were a Nazi and then put you in jail for your war crimes.
No,
okay.
No, because then you're going to jail for war crimes. You're not going prisoners of war captured. Like you hear about what terrible things the Japanese did to American soldiers, right? So don't torture people. Prisoners of war should get adequate food, and I would say sleeping conditions.
Yeah,
clean water and sleeping conditions. So
theoretically, they should have quite a bit of rights because they're not really prisoner based on their own mischievousness.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing is
it's just beauty torture is in the eye of the beholder.
And prisoners of war, what gets me is and you see this sometimes throughout history, during World War I when they called a truce on Christmas Day so that the Germans and the British would play soccer in no man's land.
Okay.
I think that is a beautiful depiction of, you know what, we don't hate each other, but we're fighting a war.
Yeah.
And I get the feeling that, obviously you had to dehumanize the enemy during war, that you just have to.
Yeah.
But I feel like, at least in that instance, it showcases that, tomorrow I'm going to try to kill you. But it's not because I hate you, it's because there's a job that I have to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's also a lot of cases I hear, but people just would fire, but not look where they were firing, and because people didn't want to kill each other, man. And crazy as that is, they didn't want to fucking kill each other. But I mean, then you get to the Japanese during World War II, and that was just, you want to talk about people who didn't want to kill each other? You can't talk about the Japanese. The Japanese were so, and I'm not, of course this isn't going to a racial place, it's just history. Yeah. The Japanese during World War II were demons on earth. They did despicable things to the rape of Nanking, and how they treated
what's the rape of Nanking? Do I want to know? You can tell me.
So
off podcast if you want.
Basically a bunch of Japanese soldiers went into Nanking, a city in China.
Oh, I thought Nanking was a guy.
No.
Okay. I can get where this is going.
There was a lot of rape and murder and torture, and it was just absolutely loathsome.
Jesus.
It was a, I don't know all the specifics, but basically it was bad. We don't talk about it enough. It's coming more to light now because people obviously are whoa. You think that the Holocaust was the only horrible abuse of human lives in World War II? And I'm not trying to diminish the Holocaust, of course not. But the Japanese were just doing such atrocious things to the Chinese and to, again, prisoners of war, and like...
Oh yeah, because it's the Japanese and the Italians that sided with Hitler?
Yeah, and then the Italians, they changed sides at the end of the war.
Okay. Good. I can eat pizza with a clean-ish conscience.
Yeah, well, then they hung Mussolini and then hanged him in the, I think, either from the Parliament building or, like, they hung him publicly. They hung him and, like, when he was dead, they were like, "Whoa!" Like, they were just stoked to kill their dictator. Like,
okay, man. Alright, didn't know that. Good on you, Italia.
Even though you smell like this.
Yeah. Fix Rome.
Fix Rome.
Hashtag.
Centuries
Make
of
Rome
piss.
Denmark. 106. Do you think those serial killers have an equal value to other people, or do their actions impact their value? Do you think them serial killers?
That's okay. Thank you, because I feel like she's trying to be hip.
Yeah.
Like she put on a beret and like. Do you think those serial killers have an equal value to other people, or do their actions impact their value? I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah. Their actions impact their value.
From
fucking right, they do.
Like even the words of like Jeffrey Dahmer asked for the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Kemper, they asked him. They were like, "What do you think a suitable punishment for you would be?"
Mm-hmm.
Ed Kemper, being Ed Kemper wasn't just like a monster. He was a really smart monster. He like just very like
aware of his
how evil he was. He was like death by torture. Like you have this monster of a man who's just like, yeah, no, you be right to torture and kill me. And then you have Albert Fish.
Yeah.
Who do you know like?
Well, you told me about the like chop my head off, can't hear the blood.
No, that's the Peter Curtin. Albert Fish, he's the guy that ate children.
Okay. Yeah.
They put him in the electric chair.
Yeah.
They had to do it twice.
Yeah.
Because he had so many nails in his scrotum and his perineum. Perineum. He was grounded. He had that much metal shoved into his body in and around his genitalia. They had to fucking flip the switch twice.
So did he do this as like a savvy way to get out of being electrocuted?
No.
He did it to torture himself more?
He was a sadist, a masochist, and a coprophagiac.
Okay. Coprophagiacs having nails in your butt?
No, you eat shit. Yeah,
why do they put copper? Like, just call it shitophiliac.
No, it's copra, C-O-P-R-A, coprophagia.
Still, fesophagia.
Yeah, I know, or scatophagia or something. But Albert Fish he might have actually been the devil on Earth.
Okay.
Like he was a horrible, like he not only ate a 9-year-old girl, he sent a letter to the mother of the girl telling her that he ate her, and he was like, "Oh, but I didn't fuck her; she died a virgin."
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, no, that he.
There it is.
There is like where there is like Albert Fish. There's
the
darkness.
Scientific word you use? Perineum? Is that gooch?
Perineum? Perillum? I'll look it up.
Is that your butthole or is that?
No, it's the gooch.
Okay.
It's the connecting tissue between your anus and your scrotum.
Translation for y'all. So yeah, they have their actions impact their value, and some of them are well aware of that and state, rightfully so, that they should be more tortured, I guess. We go on to the next one?
Yeah. Perineum.
And this goes again to the coprophagia. Perennials are a very wonderful flower, right? And now they're lumped in with gooches. Like, get it together, science.
Get it together, science. Lumping perennials into gooches.
One of these things is not like the other guy.
Holy shit!
Close. Why do you do them like that? Oh, fucking fuck off. Yeah. All right, Tony. 107. Is privacy a human right?
I think it should be.
Yeah. And then again, like, I know that they know.
Within reason.
Some fucking form of the internet knows what the hell I'd search up. And I can't say I feel all that violated. I mean, if they start knocking on my door and fucking, sharing that shit, I guess I still wouldn't even be ashamed. Like, I'm well fucking content with what the fuck.
I don't like the idea of being tracked, but I think, like, and this, I'm just going to kind of lump these two questions in together. Yeah. Because it's obviously related. So, like, the next question and final 108 is technological advancement minimizing our privacy? Mm-hmm. And obviously, like, you immediately went to that place, right?
Yeah, like, what I fucking jerk off to is fucking... Mm-hmm.
But it's as technology advances, like, you're seeing like, tools available openly that are like, hey, the government's looking at your shit. Let us help you not let that happen, right? VPNs, DuckDuckGo, Signal. My buddy and I use Signal so we can literally talk about anything without fear of the government kind of like creeping, peeking their eyes in there and using that against us. Not that we're talking about anything terrible, but Telegram was really good for that for a while at least. I don't know if it's as good as it was, but that was a big one, is that in Russia, obviously, like, privacy is not a thing when you're dealing with Mr. Putin. And so, actually, Telegram was outlawed in Russia because Putin's government was like, hey, give us the encryption codes to Telegram. And they were like, no. And so they, okay, well, now it's illegal. Well, then Russians were like, oh, what's that? VPNs?
Okay.
And so now every Russian has a VPN because they're just used to having to deal with their government's bullshit.
So there's two scenarios that I bring up in this, almost like I'm going to bring these up. For one, WikiLeaks, all right? That's where the tables were flipped and it actually was a positive.
Yeah.
So, and then what the fuck was the other one? I guess the other one was, I don't know if this actually happened, but it must have, like, the government intercepting maybe, like, messages that were going to cause attacks on them or some shit. Like, sometimes the privacy being breached yields a positive result.
I feel, however, that when you're dealing with actual attacks of that magnitude, right, either you're dealing with an organization that the government is already aware of and they're pursuing that actively because they know it's a threat, and therefore that's an investigation, that's just not blanket breaching of privacy.
Okay.
Whereas then you have, for example, like the Christchurch shooting in New Zealand.
Yeah.
That guy was posting on message boards his manifest, like, he was active online, so, like, he was posting... I don't know if it was like you could have had your eye on him to get the suspicion, from what I understand. Like, I never looked at it. Like, all those posts were scrubbed. And I don't have the know-how to look for archives. But I get that, like, typically, like, you don't really need to... Like, obviously, you're going to have Unabombers, like, people that are actually just reclusive and like, if you did have access to their privacy, you would be able to find things. But it's like, I think that typically when people are planning something, the government either knows about it and they're monitoring it, or the people are not smart enough to cover their tracks, and so the government then finds out about it and monitors it.
So
in an ideal world, they're not too busy just...
I would say privacy is a human right to humane humans. Like, it's almost, that question should be, is privacy a human right to humane humans.
Well, but your average citizen should enjoy privacy, right? Unless given a reason, kind of like freedom.
That's what I'm saying. He's humane, right?
Yeah, but like it's kind of like freedom is a human right.
Mm-hmm.
But then if like if you murder someone, you lose that.
Yeah.
Like you need to go pay your debt to society and live in a box for years.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, it's human right. And number 108, obviously, is technological advance minimizing our privacy. That is
I think we already covered that.
Inherently obvious that it is. Yeah.
But like,
traces.
as you've said, we're making ways forward, right? So that, and again, those systems will also be abused, and it's going to be a back and forth about, like cracking that and cracking this and blocking that and working around this. Like it's going to be an ever-turning cycle of peeking and seeking and covering up.
Evolution towards bulletproofness.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, that does it for philosophical questions about human rights. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. We love to see you. We love to see that you're seeing us. And tune in next time. I'm sure we'll have some more.
Appreciated. We'll be continuing on this. So we're at 108. 108 minus 255 minus 108 is 90. Nope, no Caleb. It's definitely not 255. It's 140. There's so many people who know the answer already. Do you know it? 140.
You saw me play crib.
7.
You know I don't know the answer.
147 questions left.
I struggled counting to 15 and you're asking me to subtract 3-digit numbers? Can't even count the holes to put the peg in, Caleb.
Keep following us for the rest of these 147 questions. Hope to God that's right. I think it's right. Yeah.
How many more? Do you want to just scroll down real quick and see how many more topics there are?
Well, we've got.
It doesn't let you scroll.
Or is there only
9? 9
probably
categories.
9. It's not going to.
Yeah, it looks like there's only 9. And we're on. Okay, so 6. So
there we are. Finally.
14.
Philosophical questions to ask kids. We're gonna crush that.
Oh, fuck yes.
Ethical questions to consider.
Coming up on Smugglers Cove.
Final thoughts. No, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Let's not ruin the surprise.
Yeah.
Ooh, but I see if you like this article.
Yeah.
That could be a sneak peek of sorts.
36 deep questions to ask kids. Could do that. They might get fucking weird. 450 fun questions to ask people in any situation.
That work. Yeah, that'll give us more material.
We have our entire season 1 of our podcast figured out here.
Basically, yeah.
10 interesting conversation starters and deep questions to ask while at home.
I just love the psychotic grin on that woman's face. The kid is clearly in shock, and the husband is scared for his life.
Damn it. What does she know? 13 great first date questions. Backed by science.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It'll help my
never ask these 5 stupid questions. They will hurt your...
Okay, can we do a bonus round? Can we click on that one?
I hope to hell all 5 of the questions are in this list.
I just this is our encore for today's episode to make up for the terribly dry first chapter.
Alright, Tony. Can I pick your brain one? Can I pick your brain? No, I'm not even kidding. I have a Gmail filter set up to mark as spam any email that contains that phrase. Why? It's a lazy question. If you ask this to busy people, it shows you just want free advice. What the free advice? Yeah, giving free advice. Fuck it, without having to do any of the prep work. I love mentoring people. And then the next question, could you be... Alright, can we even ask these to each other? Like, can I pick your brain?
I feel like if I asked you, can I pick your brain, you'd be like, sure, Tony, what's up? What do you want to know?
Yeah.
I don't feel like lazy. I'm networking, you woman.
Cocksucker. Wait, that doesn't work
That
out.
doesn't. No. And I just went, oh, damn it. You free-thinking being, you're just wrong.
Anything you can... What?
Anything you can Google. So basically, because we have Google, we no longer can ask anyone anything.
Okay. These are the 5
Can you
questions.
be my mentor? What?
Yeah.
How do you, like...
Ooh, I've never even thought of asking somebody to be my mentor. Have you?
I mean, not in those regards. I find, like, when you have a mentor, if you find someone that is your mentor, typically, an older person, typically you just gravitate towards that person and that mentorship, as long as you have, if you have a strong relationship with them, that kind of comes along naturally. I think that maybe this is perhaps the only, so far, I can't remember the other ones, I can't be bothered, but that's just a weird way to say it.
Well,
it kind of sounds like notice me senpai, like,
Yeah. It's well understood and assumed without this question ever being asked that the mentorship is, in practice, anything you can Google is not a question, for one.
Well, what she means is you shouldn't ask anything of anyone because you can Google it. Now, don't get me wrong. I need to get working on my Google skills. But, like, just what's wrong with, like, if I'm at work and I'm like, oh, they say like a restaurant. Oh, where's that? Oh, you can Google that. Like, okay, shut down the conversation. I'm sorry for asking a damn question.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of customer service?
Yeah, really.
Where's your other location located? Fucking Google.
Okay, so this is kind of like a little bit offside, but a little bit onside. I was once like at a stop sign, going up towards Elmwood.
Yeah.
Like, where it's like the train tracks, like when you're going. If you need to know where Elmwood is, just Google it. But like, so like this lady stops her car, gets out and asks me about this street. And I was like, well, that street's over there. Like, you could go try that one. She's like, no, I'm not going to try that one. Get your head on straight. And I was like, how about you look at a fucking map?
What kind of... You can't ask me a question and fucking shit on me when I give you the answer.
You can't stop traffic to ask me a question and then shit on me for offering an idea. Look at a map. And then she did it again. She stopped on the road. Well, I got about as angry as a Canadian does. I honked aggressively as I drove by her. But, like, you dumb bitch. Like, I'm trying to offer help, and then you're mocking me? Like, you're giving me snarky responses?
Honey. Honestly, GPS is not that fucking great. Like, I've been sent on skidoo trails. I've been sent on dead-end roads. Like, it's... Sometimes you need to ask directions. Let me Google that for you. Do you know what year this movie came out? Let me Google that for you. Like, fuck. If I'm talking to a movie buff...
Yeah, if you're asking what year a movie came out, typically you're doing it for the sake of conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Like...
Jesus Christ.
Do you know if rice cakes are gluten-free? Now, yeah, if you're home alone, maybe don't text your friend, like, Google it. But, like, if you're sitting there in the lunchroom and you can be like, rice cakes are gluten-free. If Betsy goes, Google it, lazy ass, like, then, maybe Betsy's not your friend, but... Oh, if you still don't find anything, then you can ask someone.
Jesus Christ.
But be sure to mention you already Googled it and couldn't find the answer.
My God.
Because you should live in perpetual shame that you couldn't find something on Google, and how dare you ask another human being for information that might be readily available. Fuck you.
This. Can you be my mentor? We could just cover that. Something that is on their website or Wikipedia.
What happens if I paint my teeth?
Did that fucking say that?
Look, it's in the surf.
Oh my teeth.
People ask me, I couldn't pick a last question, so I thought I'd include these stupid questions people have asked Google.
What happens if I paint my teeth with white?
She
nail polish?
literally was like, I can't think of something to end my article. Let me go on Google and show stupid questions.
She's taking her own advice, Tony.
Wait, no, but I need to know,
Googling it.
is this Krista Brown? Or have we found another wonderful, gifted
who wrote this?
Writer.
Swill.
Vanessa and Edwards. I think we definitely looked at her. Is she the one that I thought?
Her team. She's the one where Buddy. She was talking to Buddy. He's like, if I could count the amount of times I did that.
Yes, I learned that one the hard way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Be more successful.
They must work from home. I can't see
sakes.
any of them working in an office together.
No. Scott Edwards. I know Scott Edwards. Well...
Wait, there's men on the list now. There weren't men on the list before when we looked at it.
Man is the CEO. And they got that... There we go. Content specialist. Robert Huang. Sports specialist. Content writer. I thought her name was Glitching. I just fucking, amalgamated these words. I was like, Glitching. There's Krista.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh, we can see her latest posts?
I think we click this. Because this is where we get the fucking gem of the... Did she not do the fucking... Yeah, how to tell someone they smell in 4 easy steps. Guys, here's the nugget of wisdom we're going to leave you with. This link up here... We'll put it in the bio.
Yeah, put it in the bio.
Alright, shout out Krista. Thank you for all you've done for us so far.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll be...
Continuing on the last 147.
Yeah, I hope... We need to come back every couple weeks after we're done with this article and see if she's written anything as glorious as this list of dry, unimaginative questions.
Yeah, but are tacos hot dogs? Tony.
It's in the bread.
Einstein did great work.
Great thinkers of our time. Kristen Stewart. Krista Brown. Her name was on the screen. Give a Y.
Engage in gossip. Avoid the individual. Yeah. Bonus tip. Do you somehow relate to this person's smelly breath? Mention that. We've all had bad breath or smelled bad at some point. By relating to them, you normalize smell and can offer help from a place of shared experience.
Caleb, I too have smelled bad in the past, but now it's your turn to smell bad right now. I relate to you. Chew a fucking mint.
The conch has been handed to you. Pass that shit.
Is the torch.
Alright. We love you all.
Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Please return to us here at Smugglers Cove for more laughs, hopefully more insight, or at least thought-provoking ideas, perhaps arguments. Love us, hate us, tickle our teats, and keep nails out of your perennial.
Yeah. Paint our teeth with nail polish. We don't care. Love you.
See you later, guys.